Hello, today is a vlog day. Yes, I'm out for a walk this morning. It's a little chilly, and I thought I would take you along. Today, I'm feeling really pretty good. I am at the end of writing my third draft of that book. And last night I wrote the last chapter. And on its face, good news. However, when I was in the process of writing the last couple of chapters, I went back to the beginning, the prologue, the first chapter, the second chapter, and that is where I found a big snag. Because when I wrote the second chapter, which was in addition to this third draft, I just wrote a really rough draft of that. And so when I went back to read that second chapter, I was not happy that I had not done the work before. And so while I have completed that third draft, that last chapter of that third draft, I have not really completed the third draft because chapter 2 needs some work. And so that is the topic of today's vlog. Should I start from scratch, or should I work with what I have already written, what I wrote several months ago, and just modify and shape and edit and get that into the shape that it needs to be in? So I thought I would talk it out with you. So I've got this second chapter that is written. It's completely written, but it is just that. When I wrote it, I got it down on paper, the ideas, the thoughts, the flow, and it's there. But it's full of mistakes that even my autocorrector knows aren't correct. And it is something that I wrote, as I said, a few months back, probably in June, and we're in November now. And is what I needed at the time to move forward and get to chapter 3 and 4 and so on and so on. But it's not pretty. And when I started to reread it, I was like, yeah, this was true then. This could work. But in a sense, it felt hard, heavy to think that I'm going to have to go back in and wordsmith all of that. And so the question then became, do I start from scratch and just kind of disregard what I had done, the work that I put in there, or do I go back in and rework it? And so it's similar to other things I think that I have grappled with in my life. For example, if you have already started something and you already have some foundation already going, it is tempting to go ahead and to use that foundation and jumpstart again. And one example for me was with online dating. I recently published a video about dating in France, and you can check it out once you're done watching this one if you have not already watched that. But I started and stopped online dating a number of times over the course of my life here in France. And each time I had the question, oh, should I use the profile I used for the last dating site that I was on? Or do I start from scratch? do I rewrite that profile from the person I am today in the better French that I know now that have lived in France longer? Or do I just take what I've got and use that? Because I spent a lot of time on creating that profile, and I thought that profile was clever. And sometimes I went with what I'd already written. And other times I said, no, this doesn't fit me anymore. I think I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch. But each time was different. Now I know that the energy that I wrote each profile with was different based on where I was in my life. And so I think, given that question again, if I had to go back onto online dating, I would just write a new profile from scratch, because I am different, and what I have to say and the energy with which I bring to what I have to say will be different too. My creative writing teacher said, and it's a quote from, I'm not sure who said it first, we can't cross the same river twice because the river has changed and we have changed. And it's something like that. And so that's one example. Another example is, as a project manager, sometimes I would inherit projects from people. Sometimes I'd get new projects that were very similar to projects I'd worked on. And the question was, should I use that template that I had started for or used for another project, or that a previous project manager had started? Or do I just scrap it and say, okay, it's similar, but let me think about this perhaps in a different way, a way that is less constricting, a way that could potentially be more productive and more effective. And, you know, it's not an easy call, because you've got a lot going on in your life, in your work life. You don't have a ton of extra time to go ahead and just redo things, redo everything. So it's a hard call. And so that's where I find myself as I talk through this. But the more and more I talk about it, and talk about going back and just reworking, the chapter 2, it feels harder and harder. Yes, logically, it's already written. Just go in and change a few words. But the thing that I know about that, having been working on this third draft for 10 months now, is that it's not just changing a word or two, right? It's really getting in and cleaning it up, making it fit what I have written in the rest of the book since I initially wrote that second chapter. And there's the rub. So I think in talking this out, I have come to my decision. And that decision is to start over, start from scratch, not even look at what I wrote, look at the end of chapter 1, look at the beginning of chapter 3, and see what chapter 2 needs to be, and then go from there. And that feels really, really good. So, have you ever had an experience where you have had to decide whether or not you were going to reuse work or use the foundation that you started, even though maybe that foundation was created months or maybe even years before, and that felt efficient, but it didn't feel good, or vice versa? Let me know in the comments. So, what have I learned from talking this out with you? several things. The first thing is that, and this is something that a motto I like to remind myself of, is that nothing is wasted. Yes, I already wrote chapter 2. It's already written. And in having written it, it has helped me become a better writer, right? So it's really not wasted, even if I don't go back and wordsmith that, right? Nothing is wasted, and I truly believe that. And that helps me move forward, even when it feels like I am wasting things or that I'm wasting time. Nothing is wasted. I realized in talking this through also that I have changed since I wrote that first chapter, and I have had different experiences, and the book has changed as well. It's like that river that you can't cross the same time. And so that has helped me to feel good in the idea of starting over, starting from scratch. I've also realized that initial sense of or heaviness that I felt in thinking about editing and revising that second chapter, that heaviness that I felt was my internal compass telling me, yeah, move in a different direction, start fresh. You'll feel more inspired, more creative, things will flow. And so that was another realization that, maybe I knew in the beginning, even before I started asking myself this question, what I needed to do. The thing of it was, it just wasn't logical to throw away work I spent some time on. But as I know, logic and intuition have their own places in my life. And intuition is not logical, but it can lead the way to beautiful places. In fact, I am here in France because I had this feeling I needed to be here, and it wasn't logical. So what I realized in talking this through aloud with you is that I gained a lot of clarity on what it was I already knew I needed to do. And that's the power of what I do as a coach. I help people to gain that clarity because they are able to express themselves. I am able to ask empowering questions that help unearth this inner knowing, and they can move forward with a sense of certainty in a direction that might not be that certain. So I help people who are in various stages of moving abroad. Many are at least 6 months out from making a move abroad, but they have hit a wall, hit a block, have stalled, and they need help getting that clarity on what their next steps are, where it is maybe they should move, what it is they should do for work or to earn money. And in talking to me, they get that clarity because even though I was able to talk to myself basically and speak aloud and get this clarity, we can't always see our blind spots or be confident that when we get some form of clarity that it is truly the right direction. And that's where, having a coach and having a sounding board and somebody who is trained to help you to get clear on what is right for you comes in. I also help people who have already made a move abroad and they had a dream or a vision of what their life would look and feel like when they were living abroad. And they've been there 3 months or 6 months or maybe even longer. and they're feeling like maybe they're just repeating the life they had in their old country, but in a country that is not so familiar to them, where things are harder just because living as a foreigner in a foreign country, things are harder. Or maybe they just hadn't set out a goal on how, or a way that they would move forward in reaching that vision of their life. And so I help them to gain clarity there. So I work with people one-on-one, or in my group program, my signature group program called the Carefree Expat Incubator. And it's for single women who are 6 months to 2 years ahead of their move. And they can join the conversation. They can make their move abroad not feeling completely alone, and having the support and help they need to get unstuck before, during, and after they make their move abroad. All right. So back to my book, my dilemma, and this chapter. I know with certainty which direction I'm going in. I'm going to start from scratch. And that feels really, really good. It's not always easy to make a decision, especially when you feel like maybe you're going to be doing extra work. But I have a sense that I would be doing more work if I went back in and had to go in and operate on what I've written. So hopefully this video has been helpful. If it has, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to click that bell icon so you will be notified each time I upload a new video or go live. And if you feel like you would like some support in getting some clarity on what your next steps are, or how to go about taking action on them, then go ahead and click the link that's in the description to schedule your complimentary discovery call with me so we can see what you're working on and how I might be able to help you. All right, and that link is thecouragecatalyst.com/future expat. All right, so that is all I have for you today, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.